shocker, the Trey Smith deal gets done, the TJ Watt deal gets done, all of these things that, it's probably one of my favorite things that fans take seriously that they should not, where the contract theater for a lot of this is just smoke and mirrors. It's completely meaningless. And especially when you get down to someone as integral to the team as Trey Smith or as TJ Watt, these were never going to get done. The TJ Watt trade rumor was probably my favorite, most nonsensical storyline of the offseason. Like, I'm sure teams were calling, but in Pittsburgh, let's and
I said this. I'm like, I said this on another show earlier in the week. I was on with Dan Patrick, and it's like, all right, so this team, like, first of all, I understand why when you put TJ Watt and trade in an algorithm, it probably makes smoke come out of your computer, right? Like, all right, I understand that, but in what world were the Pittsburgh Steelers, who just signed 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, going to trade TJ Watt for assets that they cannot use this year? Because that's the other nuance to all of this stuff. When people are talking about this guy getting traded and that guy getting traded, how often does that actually happen?
Right.
How often have you seen a training camp holdout result in a trade?
I think George Pickens was different. There was
but that was in the works before the trade. That was different. Yeah.
That was in the works. And there was a lot of emotional stuff there.
Right. That was a fit thing. That was more of a fit thing. That was more of a dump than we can't get this guy signed, so we're moving on. Like,
are you doing what we ask you to do? Probably not.
Right. And
in the office.
I mean, like, here's a headline for you. Terry McLaurin's going to play for the Washington Commanders this year.
Yeah.
And like, it's the huffing and puffing. I get that it's necessary and needed, but like, that's stuff for March and April. And if there was really a point when if things are really that bad between the player and the team, it's going to crop up earlier in the offseason. And these guys get traded before the draft. Like, generally speaking, if you're trading a guy who's at that level, right? Those types of players, Terry McLaurin, TJ Watt, like Myles Garrett's a great example of it. Like, why'd he do that so early? Because he knew the best chance to get traded was before the draft. There aren't very many teams out there that are willing to that are
design studio.
You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. We can pick that up.
Yeah. My bad.
The bottom line is there aren't very many teams out there that are willing to trade a player for assets a year down the road, like a great player for assets a year down the road. Because by definition, those teams would almost have to be non-contenders with job security. Because you'd have to be in a spot where you don't need, or you wouldn't want that guy on your roster this year. And you have the job security to know that you're going to be the one executing the pick going forward, which is why these deals, for the most part, have to get done before the draft, because that's when you're going to be looking at the widest number, the biggest number of suitors. Now, I'm not saying things can't go so sideways that trades happen, and you can be creative in the way you trade people. But, in most cases, it makes no sense at this point in the calendar. It makes more sense in May, in March and April. Makes more sense at the trade deadline when we know who's out of it. Makes no sense at the beginning of training camp.